We all love to get a deal. Retailers know this. That's why they run so many sales. 40% off, 50% off, even 60% off. But is that big discount something to get excited about, or just marketing hype best ignored? I'm Herb Weisbaum, the Consumer Man, a contributing editor at checkbook.org.
Welcome to Consumerpedia at checkbook.org. We're the nonprofit that helps consumers select services, avoid trouble, and save money. Because we don't accept any advertising or take money from any business we recommend, you can rely on checkbook.org to be completely independent and objective. Now, here's the host of Consumerpedia, America's consumer expert, the Consumer Man, Herb Weisbaum.
Checkbook's researchers tracked prices at 25 major retailers for 33 weeks and found that most of these stores' advertised discounts were bogus. They were fake sales designed to mislead you. Let's dig into this with Checkbook's executive editor, Kevin Brassler. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Herb.
So it's strange that you and I are talking about shopping and both of us hate to shop.
Yeah, man. I detest shopping so much. Least favorite thing.
Well, when we're in the parking lot pulling up to a store, I always turn to my wife and say, okay, we're almost done. She goes, you're taking all the fun out of it. It's like, it's not fun. I just came here to buy something. This is not my life's goal.
Yeah, my wife has a sign in the kitchen that says, shopping with your husband is like hunting with the game warden, right? And I'm just like, let's go. We've got enough. You got enough.
Oh, that's funny. So when you say that Checkbook found that there are a lot of fake sales out there, what do you mean when you say fake?
Well, so if someone is advertising that they're selling you something at a discount, if they have a price that's crossed out and they have a lower price listed and they are saying that this is a discount, that we're having a sale for this item, but they always or almost always offer it at some lower price and rarely, if ever, actually sell it for that crossed out price, then what they're doing is they're not offering it at a discount. It's an attempt to trick you into thinking that you're getting a deal. And unfortunately, we found that most retailers do this type of deceptive selling practice where the sales just never end or almost never end, that they are always crossing out a price and offering a lower price in its place, and rarely, if ever, charging that original regular list price, whatever they call it.
And you and the research team at Checkbook did a lot of work to verify what was really going on. I want everybody to know exactly what you did, so when you say these are fake sales, you know they're fake sales.
Yeah, so what we did is we selected 25 major retailers. They're basically the 25 largest ones in the country. And for each, we picked out 25 items. We picked out stuff that they tend to sell. So, clothing at Macy's and electronics at Best Buy and tools at Home Depot. And for each of them, once a week, we checked in to see if those items were being offered at a sale price or discounted price. And for almost all the stores, week after week, month after month, we watched them just continue to advertise these discounts. They just change the reason for having them a lot of times. So one month it's President's Day, and then it's Valentine's Day, and then it's St. Patrick's Day. And then my favorite was the stores that had a quote unquote clear out sale. And then the next week, oops, right back to some other holiday or back to school thing. I mean, I think that most people, when they see big signs like that, a big sale splashy event, get tuned in and think that, oh, this means I'm going to get a great deal. And what we found is that often it's just a come on. It's a way to make you think that you're getting a discount that you're really not getting. If they're always crossing out that price and offering a different price, then you're not getting a discount at that point. You're not getting a lower price because they're not charging that original price really ever.
So Checkbook has done similar tracking before in 2015 and 2018, but this time the problem was worse, right?
It's far more prevalent now than it was 7 or 8 years ago. We mostly found that, department stores like Macy's, Sears, and Kohl's were guilty of this stuff. And it wasn't so much that other retailers were engaging in it. Some were, some weren't. But now we found that almost all the retailers are doing it. Some are worse than others, but these fake sales are overwhelmingly widespread now.
Okay, so let's name names. Checkbook tracked prices at 25 well-known national retailers and found that all but 4 conducted what we consider to be fake sales. So here's who's on the naughty list. Amazon, Banana Republic, Best Buy, Dell, Dick's Sporting Goods, Foot Locker, Gap, Home Depot, JCPenney, Kohl's, Lowe's, Macy's, Michaels, Nordstrom, Office Depot, Old Navy, Overstock.com, Staples, Walmart, Wayfair, and Williams-Sonoma. So what did Checkbook's investigation show that these 21 stores were doing during the 33 weeks we tracked prices?
Well, so for the items we tracked, all these retailers that you just listed offered more than half of our stuff that we were tracking at a quote unquote sale price more than half the time. But many of them offered most of our tracked items at fake discounts more than 90% of the time. The worst offender was Foot Locker. All of the items we tracked for it, all except one, were offered at supposed discounts every single time we checked in on them. And again, that was over 33 weeks. All but one at Foot Locker were on sale every single time over that time period. Amazon, Banana Republic, Dick's, Gap, Nordstrom, Old Navy, Wayfair, and Williams and Sonoma were also really bad. I mean, their sales were usually misleading in that most of the items we tracked for them were always listed as being discount, or nearly always so. Really, all these companies, all but four, were guilty of some type of, misleading sales events or discounts.
So let's find out those four. Which stores didn't have these fake sales very often?
Really, only Apple, Costco, and Bed Bath & Beyond, when they discounted stuff, did so for a short period of time, and then it went back to having their normal prices for a while. Now, of course, Bed Bath & Beyond, it has its own kind of coupon discount gimmick where it's always mailing stuff out, 20% off mailers, but at least it doesn't usually constantly claim it's having a sale within its stores. Target was a borderline case. We found it sometimes has fake sales, but it was not really, I would say, as guilty as the others of having this deceptive pricing strategy.
So clearly this is a marketing tactic to discourage us from comparing prices, right? We think we're going to get this screaming hot deal, and why bother to price it around when you're getting 60% off or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the plan here is to convey that you're getting a great price, so there's no need to shop around. And I mean, look, if somebody tells you that they're selling you something for 60 or 70% off or whatever, you're going to think to yourself, well, they're practically giving this thing away. There's no point in shopping around. And worse, they want you to think that if you don't act right away, because it's quote unquote on sale for President's Day or whatever, or Black Friday or whatever it is, that their great fake deal will go away. After all, it's not President's Day year round, right? And so this is the aspect that I really have a big problem with, the whole pressure campaign to push consumers to buy now. Don't think about this purchase. If you think about it too long, if you discuss it with your spouse or whatever, you may change your mind or just decide you don't need the thing. The other reason they do this, though, is to make you think that you're getting a great deal. If they can make you think, oh, I got a great price, it was 60% off, then you'll do what I've done, what everyone's done. I guarantee you've done it, Herb, which is to say to yourself, well, I got such a great deal on this stuff that now I can afford to buy this other stuff too. That it's all a targeted campaign to make you feel good about the price you paid, so you buy more stuff.
Right. So if I got 60% off the camera, why not buy a lens and a case and maybe a tripod? Because look at all the money I saved on the camera.
Or an extra pair of pants, or, an extra, whatever, right? They're hoping you buy more, but they also hope that you say to yourself, well, this place has great prices. What an amazing discount I got. And so I'm going to keep shopping at this place because it has great prices. For a long time, stores like Macy's and Kohl's were the ones that were doing this. And one of the reasons they did it was because they knew they couldn't afford to compete on price with Amazon or Walmart or whatever. So all they could do is demonstrate the illusion of having low prices by having these fake discounts. But now what we found is that really all retailers, at least most of them, are engaging in this deceptive sales gimmick of at least trying to make you think that you got a deal.
A common marketing trick is to cross out one price and advertise a price at a lower one. But are retailers playing fast and loose with the previously sold price? We're going to talk to Kevin about that next. This is Consumerpedia, powered by checkbook.org.
Checkbook.org can save you money on all sorts of services you need and help you find high-quality businesses in your area. From tax preparers and auto mechanics to electricians and plumbers, we have ratings in these 7 metro areas: Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis-St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To find out more, visit checkbook.org. Our advice is always free. Ratings of local services are available with a subscription. If you live in one of these 7 areas and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Get a free 30-day subscription by going to checkbook.org/Consumerpedia.
So we're talking about shopping with Kevin Brasler, the executive editor of checkbook.org. Kevin, what drives me nuts are the ads that show the original price crossed out with a lower sales price to show what a great deal I'm getting, but I know that some of these products never sold at that original price. Tell everybody what's going on here.
Either never sold at that price or they rarely are sold at that price. That's what we found. In the industry, these are called anchor prices. I mean, you have a term for them, right? And for many of the products we tracked, stores just never charged them or rarely did. And really also what we found is that for many of these crossed out prices, their competitors never charged them either. It's all just a ruse to enable this fake discounting.
So let's just go over that for a second. So you have that higher price, and in your mind, you think that's really what this item is worth. So the sales price that they're selling it at, which really isn't a sales price, seems to be a bargain to you. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, it's enabling the stores to offer a discount. Either the manufacturer is applying a suggested retail price that they know none of the stores are going to charge, or the stores themselves are just basically making up a number that they're able to cross out so that they can say they're offering you, this great deal instead.
And here's the part I really love. You checked and found some ridiculous explanations from stores as to how they determined their anchor prices.
Yeah, man. So, I decided for each of the 25 retailers to see what information on their websites or wherever they had to explain, how they decided what these crossed out prices represent. And for many of them, I was actually quite surprised I couldn't find any explanations at all. But for the ones that did exist, some were just absurd. I mean, my favorite is what Kohl's posted on its website to explain how it determines the price it displays, but rarely, if ever, charges these crossed out prices. You ready for this, Herb?
Sure, go ahead.
It reads in part, the regular or original price of an item is the former or future offered price for the item or a comparable item sold by Kohl's or another retailer. Actual sales may not have been made at the irregular original prices, and intermediate markdowns may have been taken. So, I mean, it's basically claiming here, Kohl's is, that all its crossed out prices might be charged by Kohl's or one of its competitors in the future. So, I mean, the question is, does Kohl's have a time machine? I mean, does it somehow know that one of its competitors is actually going to sell something at this crossed out price?
No, but it has a team of lawyers that wrote that clause.
It's really difficult for me to understand, we'll get to this in a minute, how they get away with this. Some other retailers have more honest descriptions, but you often have to dig for them. It's not as if they're right there in front of you. I found a bunch of these, explanations in these, very lengthy terms and conditions sections of their websites that you and I, most people aren't going to go look for these things. It's not apparent how they're determining these crossed out prices. The better ones, at least in terms of disclosure, do explain what they're doing in little call outs on their websites. So if you hover over a little information icon on the list price itself, you might discover how they determine that price that they're not usually charging. Amazon even basically admits in its call-outs that the list prices it shows might not be common. It warns that, quote, list prices may not necessarily reflect the prevailing market price of a product, end quote.
Well, that says it all. It's meaningless.
Right, yes. It's saying that, this crossed out price, we're just crossing it out. It doesn't mean that that's something that the item is usually sold at. It and other stores sometimes do have a bit more explanation for how they determine these things. They might say that this is a price that was, the highest price that was charged in the last 60 days for the item or something like that. But most of the retailers, if they have descriptions at all, disclosure at all as to what these things represent, it's a lot more confusing and less detailed than that.
And some you found don't have any explanation whatsoever.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. Even among the really big offenders, some of them don't even bother to try to explain away their tactics. But, what really annoys me is that so many retailers try to claim that if they've ever offered a product at list price, then that provides a legitimate reason for saying that that's their quote-unquote regular price. Some even state that they may have offered a product at the list price but never sold one at that price. So I don't know what they're saying. They're saying that if they tried to sell at that list price for 10 minutes but no one bought it, then that gives them legitimacy for crossing out that price. But the fact, that they offered at that price like for maybe 30 minutes, that somehow gives them a legal claim that it's their regular price, I think is pretty silly. But, this is the argument they've made in court a few times during class action lawsuits or other actions. To me, that's not what a reasonable person would assume that crossed out price represents at all.
So I can hear our listeners asking, Kevin, is this legal? This seems like the definition of misleading and deceptive advertising.
Yeah, it's not legal. I mean, retailers, when we've contacted them, they've sometimes really shrilly claim that there's nothing illegal about this, but that's not true. The Federal Trade Commission has a clear rule on this, and that rule says, basically, that stores are not allowed to hold continuous sales, and they're for sure not allowed to imply that a former or a list price is the prevailing price for an item, that crossed out price, unless they've made substantial sales at that price. So as far as we can tell, the FTC really has not enforced its own rules on this in more than 40 years. It just seems completely uninterested in it. There are some states that have punished retailers for this, but those cases have been pretty sporadic. And meanwhile, the problem just gets worse and worse. But, aside from legal issues, what they're doing is absolutely dishonest. They are lying to their customers constantly. They are lying to them as just a matter of practice. And what they're doing is utterly deceptive. And really, ultimately, it's disrespectful. Who wants to buy from a company that, as a matter of default, as a matter of day-to-day business in terms of how they set their prices, lies to you about it?
Amen. I agree with you 100%. Absolutely. So are these prices, these sales prices, even low prices? That's the bottom line.
Well, no, and that's the other thing. So I think a lot of people may be saying, well, if it's 60% off, great, right? Don't make me pay the regular price. But what we found is that you can usually save lots more by simply shopping around and buying elsewhere. An interesting thing is that for a long time, the retailers that did this, I mentioned, were the ones that just couldn't compete on price. And so instead of trying to compete, they'd manufacture this illusion of having low prices rather than actually offering stuff at low prices. But now everyone is doing this. Even the online players, even places that you'd think are going to offer low prices to begin with. And what's happened is they've all realized that this works, clearly, which of course it does. I mean, it's preying upon our natural tendencies to seek good deals and to nudge us away from taking our time and thinking about things. Salespeople do not want buyers to take their time and second guess whether or not they really need to buy something or whether or not that's really a good price. And so the worst offenders among these retailers even put countdown clocks on their websites during the holidays. They'll say, for example, you go to Macy's website and it says, you have 2 hours and 14 minutes until the sale ends or whatever. And then, of course, at midnight or 2 a.m. or whatever, their website resets, and all these time-sensitive fake discounts are back the next day with a different clock.
So let's be clear. I don't think either of us opposes marketing, puffery, you're the best sweater ever, the greatest colors ever. We're talking about stuff that's deceiving people, that's lying to people, that's playing games with people and not being upfront with them.
Yeah, I think that, if you say to someone, this is a special price I'm extending to you, but it's not a special price. If you say to someone, yeah, I've crossed out this price, that's the price I regularly charge, or that's the price the item is normally sold at, and I'm offering you a lower price, but you never charge that original price, and neither do your competitors in most cases, right? That's just trying to deceive someone into thinking they're getting a special price, but they're not. And they're especially not getting a special price if you never or rarely charge that original price. It's deceptive if you tell someone that this special price I'm offering you isn't going to be around for a long time, that you better act soon, that it's for the weekend only. But then the next week, you're selling it at some other, BS discount price. That's deceptive. It's for sure dishonest, but it's an attempt to mislead. An attempt to mislead is not legal. You're not allowed to try to mislead people on prices like this.
So, how do you know when a sale really is a sale, something that will save you money? Kevin has some advice to share about that next. This is Consumerpedia, powered by checkbook.org.
Consumerpedia Fast Facts. Consider this. The way a sale price is presented can make the savings feel bigger. In his book, Contagious, Wharton School of Business professor Jonah Berger explains the rule of 100. For items that cost less than $100, a percentage off discount seems larger. For example, a shirt that's been reduced to $15, advertising 25% off is more attractive than $5 off. It just feels bigger, even though it's the same discount. With items that cost more than $100, advertising the cash savings seems better. So for a $2,000 laptop being sold for $1,500, advertising a savings of $500 seems better than advertising 25% off. Professor Berger says the way a retailer frames the savings can influence your decision to buy.
So here's the good news. Sometimes sale prices really are good prices, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but you just can't rely on the retailers to tell the truth on this.
So you have to shop around, maybe use tools on the web to track prices, that sort of thing.
Even if something's offered at a steep discount, it says 60% off or whatever, you can't assume it's a good price. You do have to shop around. Fortunately, the internet makes this easier. By doing a simple Google search, you might find that other major retailers are selling something for less. You can't assume, though, that Google will show you the absolute lowest prices on stuff. It favors its own advertisers and stores that pay its commissions, but at least it's a good place to start. You can also try out shopping bots. A few we've tried that sometimes work are one's called pricegrabber.com. Yahoo Shopping has another tool where it kind of scours the internet for lower prices. And also, I think that don't assume that Amazon and Walmart always offer the lowest prices. They often don't. And the same is true for the big box stores. The point is, just take a bit of time to make sure you can't save, a lot of money by shopping elsewhere, because often you'll find that by doing a bit of shopping around, you can find it for less.
A site I use is called Camel. It tracks the prices on Amazon, and it gives you a good price history so you can really see what's going on with that price that's being offered at the current time and whether it really is some kind of deal or not.
Yeah, it's another one I don't say we recommend it, but we've tried it before and it tends to work. As you said, it'll show you the price history on Amazon, so you at least kind of know, okay, this is really the bottom out price for the item that I might be able to use as a benchmark for the lowest price I might pay for it, at least on Amazon. There's another one, there's an app called Honey that is basically a browser extension. As you put stuff in your shopping cart on major websites, it might tell you about coupon codes you can apply to get a further discount, or it might even tell you, this item's available for less elsewhere. I'll tell you, out of all these, doing a Google search, Price Grabber, Yahoo Shopping, Honey, Camel, none of them are perfect. A lot of times they come up with things that are false leads. But by taking these steps, by just spending even 5 minutes checking out other options and shopping around this way, you can often save a lot of money.
And one more tip I'd like to share, and I know you agree with this, is once you're done shopping, the process isn't over. Check prices for a while, and if you see that the price dropped at that store or another store in a couple of days, get a price match, talk to your credit card. Some of them have price matches, and try to get some money back.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two ways of approaching this. One is if you're in a physical store and you see something that you want to buy, you can check prices elsewhere, and most retailers will match their competitors' prices if they're lower. It sounds like a pain to do that, but we've actually found it's quite easy to do. You can do it usually just right at the cash register or at the customer service desk. Another way is to keep checking on prices. If it's offered for less at the store you bought from, they'll usually make a price adjustment. It's a pain. You got to contact them and have them apply that credit. But it's a way you can feel, a little bit more confident about what you're buying. Even if you think, later on, I overpaid, now they're offering it for less, they'll make that adjustment. But I think the main thing is just, try to take your time. Don't let people rush you, especially by sales events and things like that. Another thing you can do is if you see something and you want to buy it and you think it's a good price and you're worried that sale might end, ask the store, can you hold this price for me? Some will do so for a day or a week or so. But of course, many of them are willing to do that because they know that sale they're having is just going to be never ending, that it's going to be at a similar discount the next week and maybe even a better price the following week.
And the key takeaway, and you said it before, but it needs to be said again, is don't assume. Don't assume Amazon or Walmart has the lowest prices. Don't assume a big box store has lower prices than a local retailer. Don't assume online is always cheaper than going into a brick and mortar store. Don't assume. Price shop. Find out what's really going on in the marketplace.
Yeah, no matter what description they have, they say it's Black Friday event or Cyber Monday or whatever it is, don't assume that price is a good price unless you've shopped around. You really do have to do that. Especially for big ticket items, you might see, tremendous savings from just taking some time and not rushing into something.
Well, really important information. Kevin, you did such a good job. Go out and buy yourself something else.
Yeah, I can't wait to do more shopping, right?
Well, that's it for this episode of Consumerpedia. You can subscribe to us on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. That way, you won't miss an episode. Remember, we release new ones every other Thursday. Another way you can support this show is to follow us on Consumerpedia on Facebook and Instagram, and at My Consumerpedia on Twitter. I'm Herb Weisbaum. Thanks for listening.
Consumerpedia is a public service of checkbook.org. We're a unique nonprofit that empowers you, the consumer, to save money and make smarter choices. From auto repair shops to doctors, plumbers to vets, you can count on checkbook.org to help you find the best services and avoid the worst. Local ratings are unbiased and accurate. If you live in or around these 7 cities and haven't joined Checkbook yet, check us out. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Francisco, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Washington, D.C. To get your free 30-day subscription, go to checkbook.org/Consumerpedia. Consumerpedia, empowering consumers to save money and make smarter choices.